now where we left off, Torah Samech Zayin. And this Torah is so shaykh to now because Rabbeinu gave it. He gave it on Shavuot. So we're coming before Shavuot, and the Yanim are amazing. We left off in the beginning of Sif Gimel of this Torah. This Torah, even Rav Tzvi Chesed says it's a very complicated Torah, it's a very deep Torah, but what comes out of it is so shaykh, it's so important. The goal is the inyan of the kavod, that a person has to be very careful to run away from kavod and to give the kavod back to Hashem. And the Cherner Rav, he wrote a few svarim which explain the Likutey Moharan. One is a perush, it's called Parpor the Chochmah, and he wrote other svarim where he connects. For example, he wrote a sefer called Yikara di Shabbat. He connects every Torah in the Likutey Moharan to Shabbos. He wrote another sefer called Zimat Haaretz, where he connects every Torah in the Likutey Moharan to Eretz Yisrael. By doing that, he's also explaining the Torah. You have newer insights in the depth of the Torah. So how he expresses the ideas is unbelievable. It gives such an iyun, it gives such it opens up the mind to see these inyanim, how you see everywhere in life, everywhere in the Torah, this inyan of running away from the kavod. He says there that the main reason why we're in Galut now is because of a pagam in the kavod. Every time there was an incident of a problem in Am Yisrael, it was because of a blemish in the kavod. For example, Mordechai not bowing down to Haman, Moshe Rabbeinu, when he saw Datan and Avraham fighting, Lama takerecha, why are you hitting your neighbor? Always is makot, the whole story of Kamtza, Bar Kamtza, always machloket because of problems in kavod. The whole end of the machloket is because of the kavod problems. And chas shalom, if it's not in check, so then there's another problem of machloket which comes from the klipot. The klipot then, the evil forces, they try to over-attack. But the opening for all this starts with the human weakness of the midah of kavod, what is the problem of kavod. And the secret is to be boreach from the kavod and to give all the kavod to who it belongs to, which is to Hashem. And an extension to that, who Hashem wants the kavod to be by. For example, the true tzaddikim, which he calls in the Torah the Nevine Mada. The true Chachamim, the true tzaddikim are called those who know, who have Mada, and Nevine Mada. They have Bina, and they have Da'at, and also to run away, to know if I'm on the right address, I have to run away from the kavod. If not, it's a chas shalom, very damaging. So this Torah basically is to do what's called Melech HaKavod, to join Malchut to Kavod, to bring all the Melucha, all the kingship back to Hashem, everything back to Hashem. Because now the Melech HaKavod is fallen in the Tumah, the Klipa, the impurity. Our mission, everything we do is to extract it. And in this Torah, his main eitzah that he gives to do that is tzedakah, to transform tzedek. When Malchut, which is Melech HaKavod, falls down to the Tumah, it's called tzedek. Tzedek is not a positive thing. Tzedek is another word, another term for malchut, when it's strict. Strict justice, judgment, is called tzedek. Tzedek is called malchut. Tzedek malchutam, kadisha, but when it's fallen down. Our goal is to transform the tzedek to tzedakah by adding a hay. The hay is going to say coming up is the 5 times the word tzedakah is written in the Chumash. If you look at the whole Chumash, 5 times the word tzedakah appears in the Chumash. Right? Ne'emin b'Hashem, v'yavram Avinu, v'yachsheveh alot tzedakah. Right? And then afterwards, before Hashem destroys, he sent the angels to destroy Sodom. Hashem says, how could I not tell Avram Avinu? Because he's going to be someone who's going to instruct his family Lasot tzedakah or mishpat. It says in the Parshat Vayar, and that's twice. The third time is with Yehuda and Tamar, where when he sent her out to be burnt, Tamar. So then she says, whoever this belongs to, it's from him that I'm pregnant. So then Yehuda said, tzedakah mimeni. Even though it's written in tzedakah, but the Cherner Rav, he explains the part of the Chokhmah why it's also one of the 5. It's one of the. Without it, there's only 4. This is number 5. Tzedakah mimeni. She's right. She's just more than me. And like Rashi brings down all the Perushim, we'll go into that eventually. And the 4th time is in the beginning of Dvarim, in Parshat Dvarim, in chapter Perek Vav in Dvarim, where it says that by fearing Hashem, this will Tzedakah tiyeh lanu. it'll be considered a tzedakah when we fulfill the Torah and the Chukim and Mishpatim. There, the whole beginning of Dvarim and Vayetchanan is all Musar, and you have to follow the Torah and do the mitzvot. And then it says that tzedakah tielanu. And your children will ask, why are we doing all these Chukim Mishpatim? So then you say that in order that we should fear Hashem, tzedakah tielanu, it'll be considered a tzedakah. And the fifth time is in the laws at the end of Dvarim, where we have Mishnah Torah. So where the law appears about lending to a poor person, and when the poor person can't pay back, so you take a pikadon. So you take now, it says, for example, you have ksut laila, ksut yom. So when it comes to ksut laila, you have to give it back to him at night. You can take it as a mashkon during the day, and then you give it back. So and then it says the manti, and the wording there, I forgot exactly the exact wording, but utzedakah tielachem. That if the ani, the poor person will praise you, will bless you, if you do that. If you now are easy with him and you give back the mashkon every night, so he can sleep with the ma'ishkav. It's what he says, sleep with, take his pajama, his night clothing, the ma'ishkav, and then it's tzedakah tielachem. Hashem says it's considered as a tzedakah. There's the 5 times that it's tzedakah, and that's the letter Hey. Rabbeinu says in this lesson coming up, which we add to tzedek to make it into tzedakah. The tzedakah tatzil mimavet. This is the main thing of this lesson, is that tzedakah activates the greatest tikkun, especially when it's coming up. The tzedakah, it's amazing. Rabbeinu is stressing it. The tzedakah that we give at Vayvarech David in the Shachrit, in the morning prayer. You have after the Hallelujah, the 5 chapters of Hallelujah, then we start up and say Vayvarech David. At the words of Ata Moshe Bakol, if you look in your siddur, it says there to give tzedakah. The Ben Ish Chai says to give 3 coins. There's a whole inyan according to the Kabbalah that dafka to give 3, but the dafka at that point to give tzedakah, when you say Vatam Moshe Bakol, you give tzedakah, you activate all the tikkunim that you mentioned in this Torah. That's what we're in the middle of looking at now, and to rectify, to fix the kavod and the melech, to bring it back to Hashem, to bring it back to the kedusha. And Rav Nosson adds, because now we started talking about last week about tavat achila, that now when the kavod comes to you, and it was you're about to receive the new nefesh, you have to make sure that the kavod has a panim. And we didn't go that much into it because it's a very complicated inyan. But he said tavat achila damages it. By a person who gives in to his taivas, he eats not because he's hungry, he eats because I want a hamburger, I want a chocolate bar, he's eating out of ta'ava. So this causes hastarat panim. Like the pasuk says, "V'histarti panai." Because of the achila that causes hastarat panim, and then the kavod has no panim, and then the azem panim, the brave and faced people, the chutzpah people in the world, the wrong people, the reshaim, the akum, and the mefusanim shasheker, the shakranim, they take the kavod for themselves because there's no panim now in kedusha, so that's what they call the az panim. They take by force the panim for themselves. So by saying this is the point that you're going to add now. So that teaches you the address of the panim d'kedusha is the exact opposite of the azim panim. The azim panim are all these false people. The goyim, the mefusanim sheker shakranim, the reshaim. They're the false address. So what is they're azim panim. So then what's the opposite? What is panim d'kedusha? Panim d'kedusha is the right address, which is the tzaddikim. Meaning, when he says, it's an amazing insight into what he said what we read last week. That to make sure to instill that the kavod, the honor, has a panim, means that you're giving the honor to the tzaddikim who deserve, or the true pnei hador. He's going to say, the true pnei hador are the tzaddikim, whereas the false leaders are called pnei hador, pnei hakelev, the face of the dogs, which is the azim panim. So you have keneged zeh, the pnei hador. And what damages this? What ruins this is tavat achila. Where do you see this idea a bit clearer? In Rabbeinu's story, in the Sipur Masilot. If you take a look at the last story of the 7 beggars, there's the story of the beggar how do we say it again? I forgot which beggar was, but it was one of the beggars who was able to save the country, that the land, that they lost the sense of taste and the smell and the sight. And they lost the ganani, the gardener. There was a gardener who took care, who gave such a beautiful sight and a scent of smell and taste and everything in the land. And since the gardener was lost, so then they lost everything. Everything had a bad smell of like nevela. Everything tasted like whatever, nevela also. and everything, the vision was all clouded. So he gave them advice. He said, you have to get the servants of the evil king who were sent to damage these three, get them out, and then you can find the gardener. So the country listened to the Bedler. They went out to look to find the servants of the evil king who were like spies. They were going around to damage these three midot. They saw who was starting the nivul peh and all these bad talks and bad things. They captured them, they kicked them out of the country, and then they were able to purify the land. And all of a sudden, they said, could it be the person who we thought is a Meshuggah, that everyone's throwing stones at him? The one that he's saying that he's the gardener, and everyone thinks he's a Meshuggah. Could it be that maybe he's the real gardener? The real Ganani, the one who takes care of the garden? In other words, the eyes were opened to see that he is the right address. But how did it start? By cleansing first the nation from the taste and the smell and the sight. So the idea here, he says that the tavat achila, it damages a person's brain, it damages a person's sight and everything, so that he can't see clearly anymore who's the true Pnei Hador. His vision is distorted on the true tzaddikim. And Rabbeinu in this lesson, similar to the story of the seven beggars, that achila, dafka, when achila is blemished, so you don't see anymore where the true tzaddikim. Because you don't see the true tzaddikim, which are the Pnei Hador, so all the honor automatically goes to the wrong people. Because it's or here or there. It's all like limbo. It's now, if the honor is not on, if there's no panim, if the kavod has no panim, the kavod of Hashem doesn't have a face, which means that the kavod, when he says that the kavod has a panim, this is the idea that there's the kavod of Hashem, but the face of the kavod of Hashem is on something else. On who? On the tzaddikim. This is unbelievable. That there's the kavod of Hashem, but it's symbolized by having a face, which is the extension of Hashem's kavod on the Pnei Hador, on the tzaddikim. Which means that the kavod of Hashem is found by the tzaddikim. What damages this? What ruins it? What causes that people don't give the proper respect to the true tzaddikim? And they're the cases we're listening in the prayer on this lesson. They're the chepa, the bizayon, the keles. Everyone disregards them. Who's he? What is this? I have my Rebbe, I have my tzaddik, I have my, where I go to my kittelech and my pidyon. Who's that? Use your Rebbe, right? It's looked down upon because of a distortion due to the achila. Dafka achila, because we said yesterday, achila is what fuels the brain, the dat. The brain, Rabbeinu brings from the Zohar many times, it's like a ner dolek, like a flame which is burning. But for a flame to burn, it needs fuel, it needs oil. So the oil is what the body brings up to the brain. Where's the oil coming from? From the material coming in to fuel it, which is the food. So when the food is done properly, so then the brain is balanced to burn properly. But if there's too much fuel, or the wrong type of fuel due to tavat achila, so the brain doesn't burn properly, and by doing that a person doesn't see properly, it's all distorted, and then the panim is ruined. Like in the case of the gardener, that the person who they thought was a meshuganer, he was the real tzaddik. Could it be the one who was throwing stones at him and he says he's the ganani, that he's the real tzaddik? In other words, the same person, two opposites. Also in Torah Yud Zayin, Rabbeinu talks about this idea that you have two people, they're standing right next to a tzaddik. One sees a tremendous light, and the other one sees not just darkness, but garbage. For example, Avram Avinu and Ephron Achiti, right? It says when Avram Avinu was chasing after the sheftzaleh, the cow, the sheep, to sheftim, in order to bring food for the three angels, the three guests. So it says that the animal ran into the Me'arat HaMachpelah in Hebron, right? And Avram Avinu was chasing after the animal to take him, to sheftim. So as soon as Avram Avinu went into the Me'arat HaMachpelah, he smelled Gan Eden, right? So he saw afterwards, he discovered when he walked in, the Gemara goes into it, he saw Adam and Chava, and he saw that this is the entrance to Gan Eden, and this is the place where he wants to be buried, eventually. So when he went to Ephron to buy the land, the Zohar says that Ephron was so happy to get rid of the land. It says he sold it to him, besimcha. The Zohar adds this word, besimcha, he sold him the land. Why? Because for Ephron, not only, Rabbeinu says in lesson 17, not only did he not see that it was the entrance to Gan Eden, but the exact opposite. It was so dark and lousy and ugly. He was so disgusted by this piece of land. He was so happy to get rid of it. It says, Besimcha, he was so happy to get rid of it. And Rabbeinu brings us as a proof that you have two people, they look at the same item.
One sees a big light, and the other one just sees the exact opposite. He sees lo zo afzo, he sees total darkness. And that's especially by the tzaddik, by the true tzaddik. One person sees the light of the tzaddik, the other person not only does he not see anything, but he sees garbage. Like in the case of the Ganani in the story of the Betras. They're throwing stones at him. Not just this, but the opposite. And in this lesson he's explaining that there's Pnei Ador, Pnei Kelev, there's the Azei Panim, but there's the Pnei Dikdusha. And that's all dependent on what? On the person's eating. In other words, your perspective is where you will give the proper kavod to. Are you going to give kavod to the wrong people, to the President of the United States, and to this guy, and to all the false leaders and manigim, or are you going to give kavod to the right address, to the true tzaddikim? And what's going to determine that? That's the eating. So now Rav Nosson and the kids of Likutey Moharan on this lesson, he says, okay, but what if someone now is damaged his eating? What to do? So this is where tzedakah comes in. Tzedakah, especially the tzedakah, Vayvarech David, V'ata Moshe Bakol, can rectify all the way up to the beginning. Rectifies the eating, rectifies the panim, rectifies the kavod, rectifies the malchut, does everything. That's the power of tzedakah, any tzedakah. But he says especially the tzedakah of Vayvarech David. That tzedakah is super duper powerful for giving back. Because why? On the pshat level, you're giving tzedakah at the same time you're saying V'ata Moshe Bakol. I'm giving back the melucha back to Hashem. And at the same time you're giving tzedakah. So you're activating this hay of the tzedakah to release the koach of tzedakah and restore from tzedek, which is the fallen malchut of Hashem. It's fallen to the domain of the false leaders, the sheker, the tumah, and everything. And you're saying V'ata Moshe Bakol. You're making the statement that Hashem, you are in charge. It's all the kavod and melucha belongs only to you. So the tzedakah fixes up everything up to the beginning. Okay, so now we're just continuing how he's going to show now the connection of improper eating, giving power to false leaders. Watch this in one pasuk. This is the idea of, see in Gimel, right? Go if you don't, not at the very beginning of Sif Gimel. Torah Samech Zayin Sif Gimel, go down like 4 or 5 lines. There's a pasuk in Yeshaya. V'kelavim azei nefesh lo yadu sava. So now it's like this. Aklavim azei nefesh. The dogs have chutzpah. They're brazen souled. Azei nefesh. There's az panim, but azei nefesh. He says here. They're chutzpah. They're sold with chutzpah. Their soul is with chutzpah. Lo yadu sava. They don't know satisfaction. They don't know how to be savea, to be satisfied. Hainu. You see, הידי תאוות אכילה, בחינת בטן ושתחסר, וזהו לא ידעו סובה, הפך צדיק וכל ספשו, הידי זה מתגרבים על זה פנים. To explain, the seifa of the pasuk leads to the reisha. לא ידעו סובה, when a person doesn't know how to be savea, so that causes והכלבים הזה נפש. It causes that the klavim, which we're going to see more than the dogs are brazen-faced, coming up. We just saw now, it's a Pnei Ador, Pnei Kelev coming up. We're going to see coming up. The klavim is a hint to false leaders. They're azei nefesh. How come this can exist? How could this be? Because of lo yadu sova. So look inside now. Hainu, ayde tavat achila. Through the tavat achila, which is bechinat, the idea of beten, v'sha'im techsar, the stomach of the wicked is always lacking. They're never savea. There's no svil. There's no, I'm satisfied. But there's a keep on eating out of tava. V'zeu lo yadu sova. This is the idea of lo yadu. They don't know what is savea, which is the opposite of tzaddik. Ochel lesova nafsho, which can be interpreted a few ways. A tzaddik is someone, number one, who eats lesova nafsho, who eats to satisfy only his soul. He's only interested in eating what's necessary for the soul to function. He's not eating just to enjoy this world, olam hazeh, but eating for the sake of the soul. That's the pshat. Second, tzaddik. When is there a tzaddik? When people are ochel lesova nafsho, are eating for the sake of the nefesh. So because of this lack, when there's no tzaddik, which is the opposite of lo yadu sova, בהתאם לשם תחסר, על ידי זה מתגברים עזי פנים. This causes the ratio of the pasuk, הכלבים עזי נפש, which he calls עזי פנים. How does Rabbeinu do that? Like we're coming up. Through this is strengthened עזי פנים, שהם בחינת כלבים עזי נפש. The verse didn't say עז פנים, it said עזי נפש, but Rabbeinu is going to do a hekesh to show you that kelev is equal to an עז פנים person. Because it says, Bechinat, what it says in the Gemara, Pnei Hador, Kefnei HaKelev. The face of the generation. When he says the face of the generation, it doesn't mean the true manigim. It means in a fallen state, when the Jews are in Galut, when there's lack of true leadership. So in that case, the Gemara says there in Sota, Daf Mem Tet, Pnei Hador, the face of the generation, which is the false leaders, are like the face of a dog. In other words, that there's false, there's never satisfaction, and he says here, very nice. He brings from the Zikukin. There's a pirush called Zikukin. I'm just going to read. It's in the Ein Yaakov. He says that the generation's leaders will be of very low stature, like a leader of a pack of dogs. You have a leader, you have a group of dogs, and you have the leader of the pack of dogs. So that's what when they say Pnei Hador Pnei HaKelev, it means it's a low leadership. He's not a good leader. He's not a proper leader. He doesn't know how to lead Am Yisrael. He knows how to lead a pack of dogs, but he doesn't know how to lead Am Yisrael. So that's the pshat in the Gemara there in Sota. So Pnei Hador Pnei HaKelev. So he joins Pani, Az Pani, which is Pnei Hador, is like the face of a dog, and that's all of a sudden the pasuk Klavim Azei Nefesh because of Lo Yadu Sova. V'zehu. It says the continue of the end of the pasuk Haklavim Azei Nefesh. It goes on Lo Yadu Sova, right? The Klavim Azei Nefesh. When the dogs are brazen faced because of Lo Yadu Sova, people don't eat properly in holiness. So then the third part of the pasuk Hema Ro'im Lo Yadu Havim. They become leaders. Hema Ro'im. They're shepherds, leaders. Ro'im, Ro'etzon. Lo Yadu Havim. They don't know understanding. Lo Yadu Havim. They don't know how to understand, how to lead. There's no bina. Shehem Nasim Ro'im. Umanigim Elador. They become leaders. That's the word Ro'im, the leaders of generation. But Lo Yadu Havim. He's going to go, Rabbeinu afterwards in the lesson, he's going to go back to these words of Lo Yadu Havim to show that the true leaders are the exact opposite of Lo Yadu Havim. The false leaders got the honor. The honor of Hashem is by them, which is the wrong address because they're not the proper ones. They're not the panim of the kavod. They're the Pnei Hador Pnei HaKelev. V'shlem kol hakavod. They have all the honor. So now nafkamina coming up. We'll see soon the nafkamina of this pointing. Where is it? Let's see exactly where it is. We said it already. Coming up, right before Sif Hey, he's going to explain the nafkamina. I'll just say it in advance. The nafkamina is that whenever you need to activate some force for the sake of kedusha, you need to seek permission from the goyim, from the wicked, from the medina, from whatever you want to call it, from the false leadership. You need to bend to them in order to get things done for spiritual reasons. He says, for the kiyum datenu, for the sake of establishing our religion, we have to get permission from the goyim, the rasham, and the akum, because the kavod is fallen down to them. But again, in this Torah, he talks about how to rectify that. Coming up, we're going to see now, which is the idea of the tzedakah to do that. Fine. Aval k'shemeshabri, now the positive, that's the negative. Aval k'shemeshabri tavat achila, when a person breaks the tava for eating, b'bchinat, the aspect of tzaddik, ochel yisova nafsho, that there's a presence of the tzaddik because a person's eating for the sviut of the nefesh. I saw today something amazing. There was a chidushim of a Breslov who passed away 30 years ago. His name was Mordechai Rosenfeld. He says, how can a person eat for the sviut of the nefesh? How can a person eat a little and be so satisfied with it? How can you have sviut? You're playing a game. The person now is eating minimal, and his stomach has urges to eat other things, and yet he's savea. How do you do that? So coming up at the end of the Torah, he talks about how davening is the main life force of a Jew. The main chayut comes from davening, which is that when a person invests so much in his davening, he's savea from his davening. It's unbelievable, this concept. A person reaches a level where the davening is talking to him. A person is so connected to the words of the davening. He feels it. He's so davuk. He's so connected to the words. So he's already saver with the davening, and he just has to add to that an eating minimal. He's able to eat anything, whatever you give me, it's okay, I'll eat. And he's happy with it because his sviut is not coming from the food, his sviut is coming from the davening. And tzaddik ochel esova nafsho, he's eating for the sake of the sviut of the nefesh, which is through davening. So because he's so saver from the davening, minimal eating is needed just for kiyum haguf, just to make the goof alive and functioning, that he can get up in the morning and daven and learn and move around and everything to serve Hashem. And so the sviut is coming from he says it's beautiful, it's coming from the davening, and then a person has no need to run after the taivis, especially the tavat achila, because he's already satisfied from the davening. They open the door. He's going to say, coming up, how do you get to that level? He says it comes through an amazing, the whole second part of this lesson is unbelievable. It's by giving kavod to a zaken sheshachach talmudo, a zaken who forgot his Torah study. And there's a lot of arichut in this. What does it mean a zaken who forgot his Torah study? He didn't really forget, but there's clouds blocking the zaken, the elder's ability to connect to his da'at, which is called talmudo. Talmudo is the type of a limud that a person learns in order to give over to other people. That's why Talmud is called a student, it's called a talmid, because he's there to receive the Talmud of the zaken. You have limud Torah, esek Torah, iyun Torah, amal Torah, but Talmud, the word Talmud is associated with the Torah that you plan to give over the halach to other people. So zaken sheshachach talmudo can be read as zaken sheshachach talmido. Unbelievable. That the zaken, the elder, he forgot he doesn't have the ability to give over to the recipient. There's a blockage, there's a cloud, he says. And how to fix that is by giving kavod, that the people give kavod to such tzaddikim. This opens up the mind of the tzaddikim that they again can give forth. And Rav Nosson and all the Breslovers, they go on to talk in the writings that this applies even after the tzaddikim passed away. And their teachings, that sometimes you read the Sfarim of the tzaddikim, and it's not connected. I don't feel a connection, it's dry, it's not getting to me. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. How to fix that? It says by being mechaber the tzaddikim. The greatest example, where Nosson talks about this in Chovel B'Chavero, he says, by traveling to tzaddikim, even traveling to graves of tzaddikim, that is the greatest kavod you can give to them. Because the fact that you're traveling to a tzaddik or to a grave of a tzaddik shows that you value them. You drop everything and go to them. That's a big kavod. You're dropping everything in your life, your work, your center, your mood and everything, and you go all the way to Meron, for example. You do a hishtadlut to travel to tzaddikim. This is the greatest kavod that you're showing to them. And this opens the gateways again of the tzaddikim with the clouds moved, they now can shine their da'at to you. Even in their sfarim, even after they passed away, but the sfarim of the tzaddikim are always connected to the mind of the tzaddik. Rabbeinu has a lesson in Likutey Moharan, the face and the sechel and the nefesh of the tzaddik is in the letter combinations of his sfarim. But sometimes there's no connection, because there's clouds blocking. So how to remove the clouds is by giving kavod to a zaken sheshachach talmudo talmido, and then all of a sudden you see things. Oh my God, it's talking exactly to me, directly to me. A lot of people say that when they come to Breslov, the Sfarim were talking to me this, that, because at that time there was the Torah root of kavod towards the tzaddikim somewhere in the world, and they're able now to get out to the people. But other times there's a hastara, there's a concealment, and it's dry, and I have to kill myself to connect to the teachings. It's hard. All this is rectified by the kavod, the factor of the kavod, which has a panim, which means to give the kavod to the right address, to the true tzaddik. Nosson Kutalach goes into this a lot. Yeah. You should take a break and do something to mechaber the tzaddik. You should take a break, but do something to reactivate the kavod to the zaken sheshachach talmido talmido. Do something which shows your emunah the tzaddik, which shows that you're giving back the kavod to them. The main area where the blemish is noticeable is megaber. To explain, this is coming up in the Torah, we'll talk about it now. The main area where you see that you receive the da'at of the tzaddikim is your davening. If your davening is full of itorut and itlavut, because of the teachings of the tzaddikim that they put you on fire, So that means you're receiving properly the teachings of the tzaddikim. Because the goal of the Torah study, and lo midrash ha'ikar ha'maaseh, the goal of Torah study is what you do with it. And the doing, the asiyah, is mainly expressed in the davening, believe it or not. The davening is the main asiyah. It's a big arichut by Rav Nachman, I think in Sichot HaSipurim or Koch V'Or, one of the two books, where he goes into the Pirkei Avot, the Mishnah, Kol shechochmato meruba mima'asav, the Ma'udomeh, right? The Mishnah that says anyone whose wisdom is greater than his actions. And he says, what is ma'aseh there? It's referring to your davening. The person's now learning is 20 hours, and his davening is like this. It's like 4 hours, maybe, or 3 hours, or 2 hours. So the Ma'udomeh, he's in danger, such a person. Why? Because the storm wind comes, and there was a difficulty comes in his life. And because his whole basis was just living the Torah, and davening was very shvach, was very weak, so comes a difficulty in life, knocks him down. Whereas the person whose main thing was the davening, and he used Torah study to enhance the Avodat Hashem, the davening part, so whatever he goes through in life, he's going to be solid. He's going to be able to go through all the difficulties in life, like a tree that has a solid stem, even if it has a few branches, but you can't budge it, it's going to stay forever. As opposed to the other tree, it was a nice tree, but it lasted maybe 5 years, and that's it. It fell after 5 years. Because it had many branches, many leaves, many flowers, but the stem was very weak. So what does it help me? We need something that's lasting. I'm not impressed with something that's beautiful, but like you buy flowers for Shabbos for 1 week, and then throw it in the garbage after a week. I'm not interested in something which is passive. I want something that's eternal, something that can hand over. So this is the idea of investing in the davening. So he says, coming up at the end of the Torah, the main area that you see the core, the teachings of the tzaddikim, that when they're talking to you, is how your davening is afterwards. How your davening is. Are you still davening like a dry person, like dead bones? They're talking about dead bones afterwards in this lesson. And the bones are dead. That the atzamot are very dried and broken and everything. Or are you going to daven with chayut and everything? And all this is dependent on receiving the exact shiur, the exact Torah lesson that you need to hear when it comes from the mouth of the tzaddik. Because he says at the end of the lesson, this is the difference between learning from books and learning from the mouth of the tzaddik. When you learn from books, you don't know what's the exact Torah study that you're supposed to learn right now that's going to change you. Whereas if you learn Torah from the mouth of the tzaddikim, they have the ability, even though they're talking to 5,000 people at once, the tzaddik's words, each person hears exactly what he needs to hear. They heard the same thing. They heard the same drasha on a certain inyan, but each person, because it's coming from the mouth of this tzaddik, is able to give it to each person in a format that is exactly what he needs. It touches the right button. Boom. Oh my, he woke up. Each person, according to the kavod he gives to the tzaddikim, then they receive the proper shiur that they need to learn, which will activate the davening that should be mamash with life. Because the nefesh, its main food of the nourishment of the nefesh is from the davening. Because the davening is words of kavod. What is davening? The majority of davening is praising Hashem. The expression of kavod is in the tefillah, and the nefesh is rooted in the kavod. So when a person now is not connected to his davening, this causes a distance between the kavod and the nefesh, the kavod which is the words of the prayer, and the nefesh which is expressing the words. It's separated, and it causes that the nefesh is dry and drained, and the person's out of it, and he doesn't want to do anything, and chashal, his thoughts of giving up and futility. We need to join back again the kavod and the nefesh, which is through the davening. The davening should be full of life. But to do that, I need to hear the right Torah teachings from the zakenim. The zakenim should be able to get to it. So this is the advantage of hearing from the mouth of the tzaddik. Rav Nosson goes on to say, even after tzaddikim pass away, you could be learning their svarim, but you could be or learning a book, or learning directly from the mouth of a tzaddik, even though it's a book. It depends on what's open, what gateways are open to you, based on how much clouds are blocking between you and the tzaddik. It's an unbelievable idea. The concept is phenomenal. And Rav Nosson talks about it. They can read the Sefer, which was written 200 years ago, 300 years ago, but you're reading it in a way, you're learning it, and it's touching upon such sensitive spots. The other person who's learning it, he's looking for chidushim on the parsha or whatever, nice inyanim, nice musagim. He's looking as an intellectual study. He's not going to get that much out of it. The other guy's looking because he's dying, he's thirsty, he's dying to come back to Hashem, to connect to Hashem through davening. So there, even though he's learning a sefer, the tzaddik opens up his eyes to see what he has to see. It's phenomenal. But all this is through the kavod given to the zaken, to the zaken in the Hashem. Okay. Should go on a little? We can go on a little? How are we doing with time? So just want to finish the seat. Let's just finish the seat till the Dalit. Okay. So we go now. Aval, just going now. Going back to the eating now. And this whole Torah is connected. There's many enemies in this Torah, and they're all connected. In other words, Rabbeinu says something in the beginning, and it's connected directly to what he says at the very end. It's part of the beginning part. Yeah, he says A, B, C, D, E, F, but F is connected directly to A. You don't see it yet. When you go through the whole Torah, then you begin to see the connection. That's why it's important when learning Likutey Moharan to go over the Torah again and again and again. He said himself, Rabbeinu. No one can begin to understand, I forgot the exact wording, you can't begin to understand the Torah in Likutey Moharan. Only someone who can learn the Torah from beginning to end, and from the end to the beginning. Which it means that you have to know the Torah to go over it again and again. And you finish it, start again. Finish it, start again, so you can see the whole structure of the Torah, and then your comprehension gets much, much more clear, because Mashich says the end part, he explains, that's how he works in the Likutey Moharan. The beginning is very condensed, he doesn't explain at a point, he misses at a point, he only brings it out at the very end because he wants to express it in that format at the end. Okay? Going back, when a person breaks Tavat Achila, this causes what's called Nesiut Panim. You bring to lift up the face. When we say lift up the face, it means two things. Number one, it means that Hashem is shining His countenance to you. There's Nesiut Panim, that Hashem is doing shining favor for you. He wants to do for you favors. Hatavot, He wants to do good for you. But also in the pshat of the wording, the translation of Nesiut Panim, you're lifting up the face of the kavod that has fallen, to the wrong address. To the Azpanim, the Chutzpah people, the brazen-faced people, the Rashayim, the Akum, the Shakranim, the Mefusam Shem Sheker. You're lifting up the face which belongs to Kavod of Hashem, right? You're bringing it back there. Vazai, Ein Shum Pekidut, Usirara, Lazai Panim. At that point, when you do that, there's no longer any power and authority to the brazen-faced people, the Chutzpah people. Because the nourishment of the brazen-faced people only comes when there's hastarat panim. Hastarat panim means that the face, the true face of the kavod of Hashem, is concealed. It's hidden, it's covered up, and it goes to the other address. And they take their yenika, their nourishment comes from there. Because of tavat achila mentioned above. So now Rabbeinu takes all these ideas and in an amazing way puts it in a new pasuk. It's phenomenal. When Rabbeinu does this, a person now who's a lamdan, who has some yediyah in the Torah, when he sees how Rabbi Nachman does this, he takes a pasuk, he introduces a new idea, and then he shows you a pasuk which you know about already, and he opens your eyes to see this new dimension. People flip out. It's a mamash chad bedara, one in a generation, the level of the chidush. Because like he says in Sichot Haran, that when he says an idea and then he dresses it up into a pasuk, it fits in 100%, not 90%. You see, you have some tzaddikim, they say an idea and they're malbish it on a pasuk, but it doesn't fit in perfectly. It fits in like 80%. You see the idea there, but it's bedochak, it's squeezed in the chidush. But by Likutey Moharan, it's phenomenal. It fits in 100%. You don't see it at first glance, but the more you dig into the pasuk and all the Mar Mekomot on this pasuk, all the Gemara on this pasuk, all the Zohar on the Midrash, everything available on this pasuk, and you see from all the dimensions, and you see how Rabbeinu is explaining it, you flip out because it fits in perfectly. And even the grammar, the diktuk of the pasuk, it fits in perfectly. Here, you have, for example, the pasuk here, Vesaveya Yalin Bal Yipakedra. Even the vav of Vesaveya, if you dig deep enough, you can make chidushim. You can see how come there's and. The word and, how does it fit into the whole chidush? Because it says in the pasuk ve. I don't need the vav for the idea. Watch what does it say now. Let's see the pasuk, and then just how to develop when learning the Likutey Moharan. You're expected, if you want to dig deeper, you're expected he wants you to cut up every single word, to do a surgery, to really dissect every single proof that he wants you to do that, and you can do it, and there's no pachad in doing it. It's like the more you do that, the more you see the unbelievable amkut there is in the Likutey Moharan. It's phenomenal. So what's the pasuk here? V'saveya yalin bal yipaked ra. Watch how he's going to explain it. V'saveya yalin. First of all, what's the translation? Saveya yalin. Someone who is satisfied, who's saveya, is full. Yalin will rest, will lie down. Bal yipaked ra, and will not be hit or attacked with evil. No pikida, no bad falling, bad will befall that person. So now watch how he explains it. V'savei yalin. What is v'savei yalin? And the one who's satisfied will lie down. He says like this: Ze bechinat tzadik ochel lesoba nafsho. A tzaddik who eats for the satisfaction, satiation of his soul. So he says this idea is v'savei yalin. When there's sviut. And yalin, it's dwelling here. In other words, who's in the picture now? In our context, who's in the picture now? Who's in charge? The one who's saveya. Who's the one who's saveya? It's only tzaddik, because the beta and reshaim techsar. The reshaim, the wicked, when are they in charge? When there's beta and techsar, when there's lacking. There's lo yadu sova. There's no saveya. So when there is v'saveya yalin, means there's dwelling in our midst the saveya, the tzaddik. So in other words, breaking tabat achila, and there's tzaddik, the presence of the tzaddik, and there's ochel sova nafsho. Bal yipaked ra. Watch this. There's no, look how he translates, pekidut to the evil. She'en shum pekuda v'itmanut la'ara. The pshat is, but there'll be no bad befalling, no bad to befall a person. Bal yipaked ra. But he says no, bal yipaked, there'll be no more pekida. The word pekida means authority and power and authority and instruction. She'en shum pekuda v'hitmanut la'ara. The word pekuda from similar to hitmanut, authority. To the ra, who's ra? The hainu la'azei panim, who are the wicked, the wicked are referring, the evil, referring to the brazen-faced people. Unbelievable. So with savei yalin, when there's tikun tavat achila, when a person eats and he's the soba nafsho, he's satisfied, which is only when for the presence of the tzaddik to eat the soba nafsho. So this causes that there's no false leadership. You want to work on finding. So it's who asks, where do I find true tzaddikim? So the answer is work on yourself, work on your eating, and all of a sudden you begin to find the true leadership. You begin to see it. It begins with you. Like in the story of, again, the 7 beggars, the person that they thought was the Meshuggah and they're throwing stones at, now I see that he's the true tzaddik. That's how it works. Your son wish to work on this area of the achila and finding the true tzaddikim. Have a question? Yeah, turn around. Okay. How about we record this? I like the questions if we record it also.
Do a tender?
Huh? Yeah, there's a tender. It says something else. It says someone who looks at this book with sincere eyes. It says all of his veins will be popped open. That's it. All of his innards, of his veins and nerves will be open and he will go to. Let me show you the wording. It's in Likutey Moharan. It's for Breslov introduction. He says that. He says anyone who looks at this book, the content taste is not anywhere. People are sleeping. Not even Roman. I'm sorry to say this. But the simcha you don't feel that Rosh Hashanah anymore. Rosh Hashanah is Yom Adin. Yom Adin by the tzaddik. The simcha. This day is reserved for what? You go to Meron for what? To eat, stuff your face, and dance. That's the main thing. The davening, all year round you go to daven Meron. You go at Rosh Hashanah, you go Zayin there, you love your time. But Lag BaOmer is reserved for dancing and being happy. Rosh Hashanah is not Yom Adin. Rosh Hashanah is daven.
Not a day to daven?
It's hard to do simcha. It's too much. Simcha is unbelievable. Yeah, but the davening inside, they say Yom Kippur inside and outside. It's a day. Listen, me, I'll tell you personally, I'll be open. For 20 years, 18 years, I went to Meron Lag BaOmer with the attitude, you have to daven. And every Lag BaOmer was a killer. It was all dingy, minias, and obstacles, and schwitzing, and garbage. And I just dropped everything. I said, I want to be simcha. And since then, the door is open. Everything is. I had many people tell me I don't go to Meron anymore, Lag BaOmer, because of the push.
pushing and the crowds and all that. Because the people who go to Dublin, I spoke to them, go to Dublin, don't go to Dublin, go to eat, go to dance. Because all year round anyways you're about to anyways, go give us simcha one day a year, drop everything, go to dance, go to do early in the morning, go to dance. I went with the attitude of, Rabbi Muslim said, I should be so happy to come to your kever, and it goes in, the term is in, so we reserve it, do this another time, go to the moment, this is the main thing. Chadi Rabbi Shimon, holding in of Rabbi Shimon is you feel like moments. I was crying from Simcha. The Bible says, B'shimcha Negilu Kol Hayom Asher Kavod B'chiyah. I couldn't stop crying. I decided to be while dancing. We're dancing. I was crying. People looking. Abba and Rabbi, they have the same Shosh Neshama. So when you stop to the Mecham and they come for Abba and Rabbi, his Neshama came and attached itself to you. And that's how I felt it, that's why I saw it. So from there, so you see that not all the Kvarot were North Arizal. There were times that it came by itself. So there's some tzaddikim that are in charge of Gulim and some are not. Both.
Do we not know whether any other?
Sure. I was there on Shabbos. I walked there on Shabbos.
So this is Shurim, they say it's not there, right?
What?
This is Shurim. Next to the
The Ramchal, why not? The Ramchal is not there.
A bunch of people thought it not. They remember when the Matzeva wasn't even there.
Rachel Eshet Rabbi Kiva, yes. This thing Rachel Eshet Rabbi Kiva on top is something new. Who?
Where's Hannah? Is Imo is Osman, right? Osman.